So here is where I would pop a party popper if I had one, but I don't. My impending adulthood has kind of just smashed me in the face recently because it's just over 2 weeks until my 18th birthday and I left high school yesterday. My last day ever of going to school. I mean, I still have exams and stuff, so I guess I'm not totally done and I haven't had prom yet and all of that crap, but technically, I had my last ever day of school, which is weird. So I thought, since I've now survived 6 years in that educational hellhole, I am an expert and I will be able to give all of you younger kids a advice video on high school and what it has taught me over my 6 years. Let me become your big brother for a moment and give you all some good old advice. First off, play the long game. Now this piece of advice comes in 2 parts. Part 1, in your schoolwork. I don't know how your school system works, but where I'm from, it is possible to get all of the grades that you need for college or university in 4th or 5th year. The lighting in this is going to be so inconsistent, just so y'all know. Most universities look for these things called hires, and it's possible to get all of the ones that you need in 5th year and get an unconditional offer, which means that no matter what you do in 6th year, you have a place, meaning you can afford to fail everything in your last year. Now, if it's possible to do this for you, I would recommend trying to put the work in 5th year instead of in 6th year, because having a last year where you can just relax, focus on joining committees and spending time with your friends is probably very, very good as an idea. Obviously it's not always possible because either some people struggle with getting a higher in a subject in only 1 year and some courses have very, very high entry requirements, so you're going to need to do it over 2 years, but if you can, get them all in 5th year. The second half of this piece of advice is about behaviour. When you're younger, do everything as you're told. Be like this perfect angel child, so that then by the time you grow up, you can get away with anything. If you decide one day that you really don't want to go to assembly because it's boring and you decide to just walk around and around the school, if you've been doing that for 5 years already and people catch you, they're gonna be like, oh, you're just making trouble again, aren't you? Blah, blah, blah. Whereas if you've been like the perfect child and then you decide to wander around the corridors, people are gonna see you and be like, they must just be doing something for one of those many committees that they're in, or hey, they must be running an errand for a teacher because they're trustworthy, or something like that. Trust me, it's happened to me. Also, you need to pick your battles. If you go around breaking every rule just for the sake of breaking them, then you are going to get a reputation and you're not going to be able to break the ones that actually matter. Whereas if you follow most of the rules but there's just one that really annoys you and you break that one, you can usually get away with it. At the same time, I would say don't be afraid to break a few rules. I know that when you're younger, everything is much scarier and you're terrified of teachers and getting in trouble, but I would just say it's not as bad as it seems and don't be afraid to just be a little bit rebellious. So the next tip is to be prepared. And I don't just mean bringing all of your schoolwork and bringing a pencil and all that stuff. I mean like properly prepared. By the end of 6th year, my blazer had plasters, ibuprofen, paracetamol, lip balm, tissues, water, a 3DS, a pack of playing cards, and some moisturizer in it. I would also say make sure that you always have like tampons or sanitary towels on you, even if you personally don't menstruate, because one of your friends will and you will be their saving grace. And the next one's very important. It's probably the biggest lesson that I had to learn through bad experiences, which is don't date someone unless you really, really like them. Don't date someone because they like you and you kind of want to know what it's like to be in a relationship. Don't date someone because they've made you feel sorry for them, because that's very unhealthy. And don't date someone because you just got out of another relationship and you kind of just miss being able to cuddle someone. No, no. No, 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 no. The only reason you should be dating someone is if you really, really like them and they really, really like you back. Other than that, don't bother. You can't grow to like someone. You can't just date someone until you begin to feel attracted to them. It's not gonna happen. And those breakups are way worse than the breakups with people you actually like. Trust me. Next is be friendly with teachers. Teachers are real people, and I've known this my entire life because my mum is a teacher. I never thought that they lived in the school or didn't have first names or any of that kind of stuff, because my mum was one of them and she was a human being. They are probably just as stressed as you are going into exams because they have like all of their classes riding on them. Like, it's going to be very stressful for them, and they are genuinely here to help you. They want you to pass. It may not seem like it at times, but trust me, they will really, really want you to pass. So don't be afraid to ask them for help. They will give it to you if they can. Also, this is a side note about friendliness with teachers. When you're in first year, they are very scary. You're like, sir, please, can I go to the toilet? I'm sorry, I know I should have gone at break, I'm sorry. But then by the time you get into your last year of high school, it's kind of more like, yo, Peter, I'm going to the shop at lunchtime. Do you want anything? Yeah, also, can we have class outside? You think I'm joking, but that is word for word an interaction I had with my RMPS teacher a couple of weeks ago. Next, prioritize your health over your schoolwork at all times. Teachers are very, very good at making you think that your grades in their particular subject is the most important thing in the world. It's not. Your health is. If you find yourself staying up very, very late, panicking about schoolwork or studying, or it gets to the point where you're starting to have panic attacks, then just slow down. I know I can't just say, just stop panicking, because that's like the most bullshit piece of advice you can give to someone who's anxious. But what I'm saying is, you should always go to sleep if you're tired. Don't bother staying up to revise, because whatever you do past that point won't go in anyway. Stop forcing yourself to go to school if you're anxious. You can take a mental health day. That's totally fine. Which brings me on to my next point, which is get enough sleep. I was a sleep mentor at my school, which yes, is a real thing. I had to go to a training where we learned all about the science of sleep and how to get a good night's sleep and all that kind of stuff, and then I never actually ended up helping anyone because I managed to avoid responsibility unbelievably well. But teenagers should on average be getting 9.25 hours of sleep a night. Think about that. Think about how much you usually get. Yeah. Now, I actually started sleeping well once I heard this, and I did notice a difference. I was a lot more alert in the mornings. I was a lot more able to like get my schoolwork in. I was a lot more able to have banter with my friends. I just felt in general better as a human being, so I would recommend trying to get enough sleep if you can. And the next one is don't compare yourself to your friends or other people when it comes to studying. I often get very stressed around about this time because I have some friends in particular, you know who you are, who do like 1 billion study topics a day, and they're like, they've got their color-coded flashcards and they've done everything and they've already revised the entire course, and I'm just sitting there not having started yet. But personally, that's the way I work. I manage to memorize things a lot better in the short term if I cram a lot of it into a couple of days before the exam, whereas they work much better in the long term where they go over it and over it like from a couple of months ago. So I guess it's just find out what works for you. You can't compare yourself to others. Don't get stressed if it seems like someone has done a hell of a lot more than you have. Don't bother, because their way is not going to work for you. Next, note things down in a diary. I started getting a bullet journal. I mentioned this in one of my videos, and I have been remembering a hell of a lot more things that I have to do because of that diary. You don't have to keep a journal. You don't have to make it very detailed, but just, you know, write down somewhere if you have a dentist's appointment or something, so you end up not forgetting all of the time. Next is that cliques or cliques or whatever you want to call them don't really exist. That is a lie that's been told by films and television programs, and you should just be friends with nice people. This was my biggest flaw as a young teenager. I hated all of the like popular girly girls because TV had told me that they were all bitches who wanted to kill me. They weren't. They were probably very nice people. I don't know, because I moved school before I could actually start to become a decent human being and become friends with them. But I'm sure they were lovely. Friend groups do exist. You'll just have some people over here who are friends, some people over here who are friends, but they'll kind of merge because everyone's kind of just friends with everyone. And yeah, don't think that cliques exist or you have to find yours, because most people don't fit into a box like that anyway. There's not one person in the world who's just like entirely a girly girl. You'll have a girly girl who also really likes sports, and you'll have a sporty guy who's also a low-key emo, and then you'll have a low-key emo who really likes science, and then you'll have a science nerd who loves skateboarding. Like, you can't. And the best piece of advice I could ever possibly give to anyone is to be there for your friends. If your friend is going through a hard time or they're upset, sometimes the best thing you can do is to literally just be there. You don't have to give them advice. You don't have to make them feel better or fix the problem, because a lot of the time it's out of your hands. But just listening to them and being next to them or being on the phone with them will help. You don't have to cheer people up. In fact, most sad people don't really want to be cheered up. They want to be sad, but they probably don't want to be sad alone. So have your friend round for pizza and be like, I know life sucks, but it would probably suck a little less with pizza. Or just be like, okay, how about you just text me a giant thing of everything that's been going on, and I will not give you advice. I will just say, I'm really sorry, bro, that sucks. It helps, it honestly does. So that is all of my advice for high school. You're welcome. Thank you for watching, and I will see you at some point.